Hello and welcome everyone to the Audacity to Emote web series. This is our third episode, and I'm so excited today. We have an incredible guest for you, the the magnificent Karen Prall, longtime lecturer and teacher here at Theater and Dance at Wayne. She teaches Congolese dance. I'll let her tell you what she does. How about that? How about that? Go ahead, Karen. Say hi to the people.
Okay, well, good morning. Yes, I am Karen Prall, known as Miss Prall around Wayne State campus with my lovely, wonderful students. And what I do at Wayne State University is I teach modern dance, yes, because that's part of my training, but I mainly teach the African dance, Congolese style. Um, it's been a journey at Wayne State University with Congolese dance and African dance, period. But it's been a beautiful journey because we have moved on, starting off with just a beginner class, and now we have an intermediate class and are in discussions about having an advanced class. Okay, so that we can stay with the lines of, ballet, modern dance. We all have beginners, we have intermediate, and we have advanced. And so now we're moving on with African dance also. Modern dance will always be right next to African dance for Miss Karen Prall because I started with modern dance. I started at Finney High School with Catherine G. Ellis, my very first real dance teacher who taught me modern dance and worked with ballet and moved on after Catherine G. Ellis. And to be perfectly honest, high school was what kind of spurred me on to move at 17 from Detroit to New York to study dance and to study at the Ailey School, the Graham School, and Dance Theater of Harlem, but mostly Ailey because that's what I could afford at that time, and they had multiple. But I wanted to experience these wonderful dance schools that I only read about or saw them in performance on TV or when I went to a concert with my mom. So I was able to experience that and with the African dance and come back to Detroit. The wonderful thing is when I came back, I had my own dance company. And having my own dance company spurred me on to check out the universities in Detroit and to see what was going on. And in Detroit, my main university that I knew about was Wayne State University. Okay.
Mm.
Because I grew up in Detroit. So I went back to Wayne State to find out, well, maybe they could use my services because I'm all of that.
It was all full circle. Game full circle, huh?
Yes, full circle. It's beautiful though. I love it.
Let
Yes.
me ask you. So in the story of Karen Prall, uh, when did you first start dancing? I mean, like the very first time. How
Oh,
you
you just
dance?
getting down. So you want the dirt now. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, let's get in there. To be perfectly honest now, when I first danced was when I was a kid. The Jackson 5 was out with Michael Jackson, and I would always say, I'm gonna be Michael Jackson because I can dance and sing. No, no, no. I don't know about all the singing, but anyway. And so we used to always do things in the neighborhood and we would dance. And I was a little bossy. Me? I was a little bossy. And
Mhm.
we were always choreographing and doing different things. Thank God we didn't have YouTube and Facebook and all of that back then. Because you could look it up. And I don't want
Mhm.
you to.
Let me
But
tell
I
you,
started
when I
then.
was a kid, let me tell you, when I was a kid, I also wanted to be Michael Jackson. My grandfather used to have this, what do you call those hats? A fedora, like the brimmed hat that he used to wear with the, yeah, right. And so I couldn't do the moonwalk. I tried for a long time. I could never quite pull it off, but I would spin around and then I would like grab the hat and like go down to my knee. And one time I remember I did it so hard I hit my nose on my knee. It made my nose start bleeding, and
See,
that is why
all
I'm not
for the
a
sake of dance and the art.
dancer.
Um, I I really what happened after, I wound up going to high school began at the age of 14. And I say that I stumbled into dance, but I don't think things are a mistake, and I know that
Mhm.
now. I felt like I stumbled in, but I didn't know that I was being guided. And when I got to high school, they wanted me to take swimming, and I was like, no, I don't want to swim. They wanted me to take gym. They kept bumping me in the head with the balls, and they were rough and this. And the counselor finally said, the last thing I can give you is dance. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. Little did I know that I was going to fall in love. Okay. And I
Wow.
did. I fell in love with dance, and the beauty of being an instructor. That I found was my instructor, Catherine G. Ellis, was more of modern dance, but it reminded me so much. There was so much ballet in it. But she actually brought in someone who taught an African dance class to us. I, to this day, want to always make sure that I do things like this for my students, because it spurred me to say, wow, African dance. After it was over, the instructor said, oh, you were good at that. And also my dance instructor. And my head just swelled and swelled and swelled and
Mhm.
swelled until I said, I am going to do an African dance in the concert.
You never know what exposure is gonna set off that spark that, to set someone on a
Exactly.
lifelong path. You
Isn't
know,
it wonderful?
your life was changed in that moment. You didn't probably know it in that moment, but it was. It was forever
I
changed.
know. And I didn't know in that moment, but I came up with something, got some sheets, because in those days we tie-dyed everything. And we tie-dyed
Throwback.
sheets. And I had everybody do this and do that. And after that, when, I left at 17 and I New York, and that was one of the things I looked for. I stayed with what was comfortable with me, with the ballet and the modern dance, but I also did jazz, and I also looked for African dance, and I found it at Alvin Ailey Studio. I found it there.
What was the point from which you knew that, okay, this is something I want to pursue for my life's work? Like, what was that? Did that happen in high school, or were you just experimenting when you went out to New York, or just seeing what you know?
In high school, I did so many things. I ran track, sung with the Magicals, I played in a band, I danced. All of those things for me was, the dance began to stick out more for me as I continued with it. By the time I was a senior in high school, I knew that dance was my calling. I felt that other things were too. I didn't think that, oh, just dance. I thought I was fabulous. I mean, of course, I think when we're young, like, I'm indestructible. I can do all things.
Right,
And
boundless.
but when I went to New York, I sought out dance.
Mhm.
By that time, at 17, I graduated out of high school, and a month later, I was in New York, not knowing what I was doing or anything. I was just a young kid, like, oh.
Were you particularly attracted to the dancing, or had you decided you want to be in this space, this place, you want to be in the Big Apple, or whatever, and you want to experience, Harlem, or whatever? Was it the place that drew you to New York, or did you go there specifically to pursue dance at that point?
I felt that, but I wasn't sure.
Mhm.
I wasn't very sure because my mom put me in a college that I didn't want to go to. And that kind of, I got out, but she put me there, but I wasn't sure until I really got there. And I wanted to be there though, because I knew, well, that's where artists go, that's where dancers go at that
Right.
time it was. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to be there and experience it and figure out where I was going. Once I got there and started taking classes, this is it, baby. This
Mhm.
is what I'm
Oh, man.
doing. I'm a dancer. Yes.
You discovered yourself.
Yes,
You
I
discovered
did.
yourself.
So happy that it happened that way.
When you were taking classes at that university, how long how what were you studying there, and how long did it take you to figure out, okay, that's not, yeah, I know you sound like you didn't like it from jump. You said your
Yeah,
mom put you in it.
yeah. Well, I got in and I did it because my mom wanted me to do that. Okay.
Mm,
So it wasn't where I wanted to go. I asked, and okay, but my mom wanted me to do this. I love my mom, and I know she's struggling, and I'm going to try to make this work. But it was really quite awful. It was like being in two different worlds. I would go and take class, and then the rest of the day, the weekends, I was amongst dancers and singers and musicians because I stayed with my uncle Hakeem Jami, who is a string bass player, and I was in that world of jazz musicians, and dealing with that. So I needed to get out of that school, and I knew it. I knew that that wasn't for me, and I wound up, I pretty much dropped out, because I needed to be around what fed me artistically, and it just felt so wrong going to the school that I was in, and I walked away, and I'm glad.
So, what was it about African dance that drew you to it in the first place? What was the thing when you saw that first guest that your teacher in Detroit brought? What was the thing that was like that made you go like, huh, this is something real?
That feeling of doing something that you've never done before, but feeling like I'm at home. I'm comfortable here. I like this. I feel this. It was just all around me. When I did that, I felt it. And I felt like I'm so comfortable. I'm like, what is this? And at 7, well, I was younger than that. But at that time, I didn't quite understand. All I knew was it's like a new piece, some candy, some good candy. I was like, ooh, I like this candy. I want more. I want more, 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 more. And I knew that at that time, in order for me to get more, also, I had to leave.
Mm,
And so that was my plan, was to leave as soon as I got out of high school. My plan was to leave Detroit. And that's what I did.
gotcha. Okay. So tell me, so first off, for people who don't know the significance of Alvin Ailey in general, can you tell me a little bit about Alvin Ailey?
You know, I learned about Alvin Ailey when I was in high school. I went to his autobiography, all of this, his time with Carmen de Lavalade and different people, and it was quite an interesting story. And if I get started on it, I'm going to go too long, and you're going to have to go cut, cut, cut. But what drew me was actually Rod Rogers is another dancer and went to New York and had a dance school. He's out of Detroit. That drew me, but I could not get to Rod Rogers' studio and take class there. There was a problem. So Alvin Ailey, because of me going to the concerts here in Detroit and watching the Ailey Company perform, I knew that this place, I would like to study here. With what I saw them do on stage, I wanted to study. And then I watched Alvin Ailey because not too long, I never was able to meet him before he passed away. Okay. But when I watched him perform, when I watched him dance, what I thought of, without getting into his whole history, but what I thought of in watching him was this is a man with a regular body, not chiseled as some of us are. And I looked at him perform and I watched him and I thought, this is the essence that I want. I want to be around this. I want to be around someone who is not a size that, in America, we think the better, which is not true. But I want to be around people like this who think dance is from my heart. And that is what it was for Mr. Alvin Ailey. Okay. The dance was from his heart. And I wanted to be around a person who felt like that, who thought like that, who danced like that. And for me, I tell my students this: Alvin Ailey, Google him, okay? Because there's so much more about him that I could say right now. Google him and find out who was Alvin Ailey and what did he leave behind in the studio that he has now, okay? Who is Judith Jamison that danced with Alvin Ailey, okay? Google it, baby. And you're going to find out.
That's fair.
But I wanted to say something else, Devon, to something you asked me, and that was about African dance and what drew me to it. Once I left Detroit and went to New York and began to see different styles of African dance, West African, Central African, East African, I wound up being drawn to Congolese dance from Congo, from Central Africa.
That was going to be my next question too. Go ahead.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, I'm just jumping ahead. But the way I got introduced to Congolese dance was once again being at Alvin Ailey's dance school. The last class of the day I took was called ethnic. And in the 70s, you didn't have things like, if it was clog dancing, if it was Polish dancing, if it was African dancing, anything they called ethnic, it was put under ethnic. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that was my last class of the day. I would take an ethnic class. My ethnic class turned out to be an African dance class with a man called Tito Sompa, and from Congo Brazzaville, who at that time, when I began taking a class with him, I don't know what to say. I was so excited. And the excitement came from when I did Congolese style dancing, it was low to the ground. And actually, everybody, I'm sitting here because I want to get up and move. And say it was low to the ground and show you. But it was low to the ground. And it reminded me of what I did in Detroit.
There are no rules here. You can do whatever you like.
Hey, I like this. I like this.
Yeah.
But the movement was low to the ground. There was a lot of pelvis movement, hip movement. And I kept thinking, this is crazy. When I was in the class with the drummers, because they always had like 5 drummers. When I was in the class with them taking it, I said, this is insane. This is what I'm doing. I was doing this at home in Detroit. And wait a minute, I'm doing it here. But wait, but the music is different. It was like coming home. And when I took dance class with Tito Sompa, yes, I didn't get it right at the beginning because he used to always holler at me, bend your knees, madame. Stop pointing your feet, madame. This is not a model. This is not a ballet. Come on, madame. Stop. And I was like, why does he keep fussing at me?
And now, how many times have you said that to students?
Yes. And you realize that a lot of times when somebody's getting on your case like that, it's because, he told me later, it's because I knew you were good. Mm-hmm. I knew you were good. I saw it in you and I had to pull it. Sometimes I had to get on your case, but I knew you were good. And that's what we do as instructors. Even if we don't think, well, this person is not that great, but still you get on their case for the reason of, I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to work with you because you're going to get something out of this. If it kills me, you're going to get something out of this.
So let me ask you this. What are some of the things that make Congolese dance not stand out, but what are the distinct characteristics where if you saw it, you would be able to tell it from a different, African dance style from the East or the, Central?
I love this question. You sound like a dancer. With the Congolese dance, most popular African dance in the United States of America has been Senegalese dance, West African dance, which I love also. I love it. With the djembe and the jumping in the arms and all of this, yes. But Congolese is different. Congolese, they don't play the djembe, okay? They play what is called the ngoma. And actually, I have an ngoma behind me. It's a tall drum. It's a taller drum. And you have to stand and play it. You don't sit and play it. And it has a deeper sound. It has deep dum 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 dum. If you play djembe for West African, it's ga 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 ga.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Congolese is a deeper, and also Congolese is down. It's not a lot of, you can jump, but like West African dance, using the arms and all of this. Congolese is mellow. Now it can get wild now. It can get wild. But the Congolese style, the hips, the pelvis, the rounding of the pelvis, which is almost always going on, or what we do with the pelvis, if you see that, you'll know it's Congolese style. If you hear the drums that are not djembe, the deep beat, space of the ngoma, you know. If you see, when I dance, a lot of times I'll wear something around my hips. I'll wear something around so that it can accentuate what I do with the hips. You'll know that it's Congolese. Those things that you know, okay? And the drumming, the sounds of the drum and the rhythms of the drum, okay? Mm-hmm. And because Congolese is mostly, it's a lot of hips, a lot of rolling, a lot of release, contract, but also foot patterns. It's a lot of foot patterns and a lot of foot movement with Congolese style. You are always moving your feet, but you stay low. We stay low. And to me, that reminded me of what I did in Detroit. But also, these old dances, the dance, walk it out. East I walk it out. Hey, west I walk it out.
Oh
Hey.
yeah.
Now, that step right there, that's from Congo. That's brought centuries and centuries from Congo. Okay?
Uh-huh.
But the thing is that the movement in Africa and Congo are faster. Then when it's brought here, it's a little slower. And that also that step heel toe, heel
Mhm.
toe, heel toe, heel toe, right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
another step we do here. It's a hip hop step, right? Like walk it out.
Mhm.
That's from Africa. All of this is from Africa. We do that step also, but it's a lot faster. So, yes.
Ah, okay. Okay. So, my next question is, I know that you've traveled a lot. I know that you've been all over, all over, in Africa and in Cuba. And I was particularly wanted to ask you about your time in Cuba because it's so interesting. Like, how did that come about? And then two, what did you experience when you were there? What did you learn from Cuba? Because I know you spent a lot of time in Africa,
Mhm.
um, but Cuba seems so not separate, but just so different. Yeah, yeah. Just tell me about that.
Okay, so the first thing is I grew up in Detroit.
Hmm.
Okay. And my stepdad worked on cars. I love cars, man. I mean, I'm typical Detroiter. We love our cars, okay? Yes, I love my car. I love old cars, new cars, all that. Cuba. I say Cuba in the United States, but when I'm awake, I say Cuba because they
Mhm.
don't say Cuba, Cuba, you know. So in Cuba, what I always wanted to go there because of the old cars. I'm like, what are they doing? These old cars, and they're so beautiful. So I wanted to go for that. But another reason that got me wanting to go to Cuba is men in their fedoras. Yeah, hey. And I grew up with the men. When I grew up, men in Detroit, they were always, we called them Dapper,
Mhm.
Dapper Dan. You know, they
Yeah,
were
that was it. Yeah.
shoes and the hat and and everything.
Gators and
Always cool. I love that. I love my Detroit now. Don't okay. So Cuba was always one of those places, and I was like, they're cool too. I like the coolness of the men. They're bad. And I love the dance also. One of the things that drew me to Cuba is Francisco, this man named Francisco, and he's a Detroiter, also come from Detroit and has Mexican ties also, and his wife, okay, La Mora. I met La Mora through some of my dancers here, and they were going to Cuba, two of my friends, and so I started going because I'm like, well, hey, she's from Cuba, Santiago de Cuba, and so who better to go with from somebody from Cuba, and
right.
I went and what happened there was she took us all through Cuba. We didn't just go to one area, we went all through. And we took dance classes. Every area that we went to, she had it set up so that there was a performance and we took dance classes. I was able to see the cars, get in the cars, do that, but I also learned a lot of history. And I also learned this whole situation of, I just got lost in my conversation. But I also learned in Cuba, one of them, they always had somebody that spoke. There was always somebody that spoke to us. And Cubans also took in slaves from, that came from Africa. They weren't not slaves when they were in Africa. The slave situation happened when they left Africa, of course. But Cuba
Mhm.
took people also, but they did something different than the United States, and they put them in what is called cabildos. And I learned all this from going to Cuba. Cabildos, if you're from Congo, you stay in the same area with all Congolese. If you're from Nigeria, you stay with Nigerians, which to me was a lot more humane than we did here in the
Right.
United States. But I learned a lot in Cuba, okay? And I started dancing over there. I was like, yes, this is the bomb. I loved it. And I love the men and the women. So I learned a lot. Okay, stop.
That's awesome. That's awesome. one of the things I want to make sure that I ask you about before you leave is now, because we are living in some very perilous times. I mean, some pretty crazy stuff is happening all
Mhm.
around, and everyone at this university in particular is dealing with COVID and how to teach in these circumstances and situations. And I'm wondering how what are some of the challenges that you've had to deal with in this, trying to bring creativity and dance to students, given the fact that you can't
I
really be
yeah.
in contact with them, which is kind
I
of important when dance.
it is important. And I'm not a young dancer, I am of the older persuasion here, but
You would never tell. We could never tell.
yes. Now I deal with computers and all this, but all this technology, that's your world. And I'm just trying to learn and do it, right?
Mhm.
So now I'm really immersed more so in technology, and I'm like, oh Lord, what is this? For me, because I'm teaching African dance and the class is all about rhythm. It is all about rhythm. Because even when I talk, when I move, whatever I do, it's a rhythm. I feel that rhythm is everywhere. And I'm a watcher, I'm a people watcher. I love to watch people. One of the things in my classes, one of the things is that it's hard. You understand? It's hard.
Mhm.
I am, I do certain things to keep myself going. I want to keep myself motivated because, and I talk to my sister girls. And these are not girls, my sister girls, since we call each other that. But I talk to my sister girls because that's how we do. Okay. And we lift each other up. And when somebody's having a problem, we deal with it. And I also do that because I'm dealing with young people at Wayne State University. I don't know what they're going through, but I'm going to say this. I feel more so for the young people in these times than myself. And I say that because I didn't have to grow up like this. I read about pandemics in my history books and never thought I would live through a pandemic, okay? And now
Mhm.
here it is. This to me is from my history books, and we're living it right now. And also, there are other things that are going on in the world that I didn't have to grow up with, that these young people now are having to grow up with. So, for myself personally, I can keep myself together, although some days are worse than other days, like anybody, because I'm human.
Right.
But I feel bad for our youth, for our young people that are in college, for our young people that are in high school. I feel for them. And so I feel that, I'm here, but I have to be a therapeutic situation for the young people.
Yeah.
Somebody that they can, if you want to come cry to me, come deal with me, because I think a lot of the young people are dealing with this and trying to be strong, okay, and not speaking and saying what's bothering them or what's going on. And we have to listen because you guys are the future. Okay. We've had our time. I feel like I've had my time, but there's more time happening. I got more to give, baby. I'm saying, hey,
Karen,
feel
I
like
am
that.
34 years old. I don't know if I'm as
I'm
young as you
working,
think I am.
I'll be working. But I'm here for you guys because I'm making it through this because I like my own company anyway. I don't have to
Mhm.
be around a lot of people. I like Karen. She is fun, child. She is all that in a bag of chips. So I like me. But there are a lot of people who need people. And I do too because I want to see them in the class. Oh, shoot. I want to beat up people in the class. And I can't even do that now. So I try to make this Zoom experience that they have as fun as possible. My personality, I cannot be calm and cool, even if I'm doing this with you. And you know how I am. I
Mhm.
think I've been very nice. Yeah.
Indeed, you have. Let me ask you about healing through dance and drums. That's the project that you're going to be working on. Tell me about that. Where did the idea come from, and kind of just where
Hey,
you're going?
I got tons of ideas all the time. There's always up there. I just leave them in there like, girl, you just stay there right now. You come, okay, you can come out. Nope, nope, you stay back there. What happened was when we got together as faculty in, with dance, we said, what are we going to do? We've got this COVID going on, and what are we going to do? And so everybody was coming up with things, and we were all working together. And I thought, we need healing. That was my first thought, was we're going to need healing. And so I thought healing through dance and drum, because for me, music is my healing thing. Music and going to the water, from my history of being an African-American woman here in the United States of America. So for me, dance and dance has seen me through many troubled times in my life. Okay. I'll just dance. As long as, even if I'm in an apartment and I have a 1-bedroom apartment, I'm going to dance all over and knock stuff around the floor, but I'm going to dance. I need to dance, baby. So I'm going to do what I have to do. And when I get finished sweating and tired, I'm like, whoo, thank you, Jesus. I feel so much better. Okay. Even with my mom had surgery in the hospital, what did I do? I walked in like this, Mom, I'm here. And I started dancing, and they were like, who is this? They said, leave her alone. That's my dancing daughter. Leave her alone. So this is what we do. Okay. Healing through dance and drum. Okay. It is about that. And it's not just the drum, but we use the drum because music, I ask my students all the time, they heal and they feel better through music. Okay. So it's the dance and the music. Okay. All of that goes together as far as healing ourselves. And so I'm working with all of my classes with that. And all of my classes have started off with 3 or 4 movements that they're all doing. And then they break out and do different things. But I didn't even realize this whole thing of healing through dance and drum, how I would be doing even more as far as healing, as far as dealing with my classes. They don't even know. Sometimes they don't even know what I'm doing at times when I come in, and I don't just want to say how you doing, because everybody's like, I'm not telling everybody in this class how I'm doing. Right. So certain things I do is about healing. Sometimes I'll just change my whole program that I'm going to do for a class when I turn on and I'm looking at everybody's face like I'm on Sesame Street and the Muppets, and I'm looking at everybody's face. And sometimes I'm feeling like, nope, don't do that today. You need something else today. Okay. But healing through dance and drum, we're going to work with that. And we're doing we have something that we're doing, and it will be online, starting with women and from beginning to the end. Okay. How we heal. And a part of that is also students telling me how they heal themselves. Okay. So I'm dealing with this healing through dance and drum, but I'm also very interested in the students and how they heal themselves. Some of them don't. Right. So this is also good to give them something to go on.
I want to ask you more about that connection between music and the body. It seems to be something that, of course, in all dance, music plays a very important factor, but particularly in African dance, there is a strong, it almost goes beyond. It seems like music in the dance world in general is a strong suggestion, as opposed to an African dance where it is a requirement. It's like it is almost part of. It seems like part of the experience.
That's one of the things that makes teaching on Zoom a very difficult situation, because I tell the students there is, with African dance, with the drummer and the dancer, they have to be almost as one. Okay. The drummer feeds off what the dancer does. The dancer feeds off what the drummer does. So if my energy is low, if my energy is bad, then he's like, hey, you're not giving me anything. Come on, help me out here. Help me out here. Help me out here. The perfect marriage, okay, the perfect marriage is when you have a drummer who is so in tune with what you do, and you're in tune with this drummer. That is the perfect marriage, because I could do all kind of movements. I could start off with the movement here and then stop, and then this drummer's right with me, and I can keep moving, go through something else, stop. Man, when you have somebody who can feel you like this is what it's all about. This is what you do, because you working together. And then you also, with the drumming, I I wound up learning the drums. I learned the rhythms. I played. I'm not a Chinelo Amin Ra or come on Amin Ra. Okay,
Well, I've seen you on the drums. You nice. You
but I
nice.
play. So with African dance, it can go as far as my friend from Cameroon, when we had 6, 7, 8, 9 drummers, which is the way it is supposed to be. Let's not leave that out. So okay. And she would go into like a state because they would play certain rhythms, certain things. And sometimes the drummers can also go into a state also, because when you play something over and over, you continue to play it, and it depends on what this rhythm is. And if it's a sacred rhythm, etc., they go in and the dancer feels it. You feel what they're doing. So we are connected. Okay, we are connected. And when that happens, you're in this state. Okay, we come out of it, and sometimes we have to help people come out of it. All right, and this might sound like some people listening like a Baptist church, or they got the spirit. You got the spirit. Yeah, right. Yes, that happens. And we think that we just started that over here. No. Africa, your roots. That's what happened. So for me, I can't just have anybody playing to accompany my class. It's the worst thing to have a drummer that doesn't know you. You don't know him. They don't know the rhythms. That happens sometimes when I travel. And so what I usually have to sit down to the drums, but they wind up going back to what's comfortable for me. But it's from inside. This thing that you're talking about, that's from in here. You don't get that you don't learn that in a class. You understand? You get that here, and it comes from the drummers bringing it to you, and you open yourself up for this rhythm, for this experience. Okay. And it is all about that. That's why I've been going nuts with Zoom. Been going crazy, like, what is this Zoom thing? What is this pause? What are you doing? My students are, everybody's like a domino effect. So, oh man, it's deep, and it gets a lot deeper than what I'm saying also.
Oh, I know it does.
Not
There's a whole world. There's a whole world.
Yes. Yes, it is. It definitely is.
So, this was a really good talk. We're gonna wrap this up, but so the healing through drums, is that a target for next semester, or is that going to be done?
Well, actually, what we're doing this semester is I have a rep, and we're dealing with it now, putting it on. It's going to be virtual, this whole video. So we're doing that now. We're getting prepared for that. And what I did was, it is healing through dance and drum, but the story is, I am. I'm doing it from a woman's point of view, and women of color, and starting from a child all the way, and bringing it all the way down from beginning to the end. Next semester, we plan to also do this with 2 pieces, taking what we're doing now. And I'm very happy also, because the young ladies who are doing this with me from Wayne State, they are having a big say in how we do what we do with this whole production. So that makes me feel very, very good. And I'm sorry, I'm in my house with the doors closed. I heard something. I was like,
oh, you're good. I didn't even.
My earring. That's what it was. Yeah. But that's and on Monday of this week, I'm having a guest artist come into my class. This whole virtual thing, but her name is Amani A. Payne, who was the director of Moon 2 African Dance Company in Chicago. And she's going to come in and do West African dance, and she also does swing dancing. But Monday, I have her coming in. So I have some pretty wonderful people coming as guest artists, which is another thing that Wayne State University students can experience with dance and theater. We're bringing in guests. We're doing whatever we can to make you guys feel, yes, this is a place, baby. This is what's happening. Okay.
Let me tell you, I'll speak for all the students out there that happen to be listening. I remember being in college and having all sorts of opportunities to meet people that I would never meet in the real world. Like, and this is you take it for granted when you're here at the school, and it happen all the time. It doesn't seem, there's no sense of urgency because you haven't life hasn't roughed you up yet.
Right, right.
There's no sense of urgency. You don't really realize the value of each of these.
Exactly.
People pay lots of money to be in a room with people just so they're exposed, to these connections and to these. So if you're a student out there, take advantage of these when these guest artists come, and when there's a forum that's open to you. um I can't stress it enough. It doesn't seem like no one's telling you like you're gonna regret not going to this in the future, but you're gonna regret not going to that in the
Yes. But,
future.
but that's the good thing with theater and dance to me is that we do that. Before COVID, we were taking students places. We were taking
Right.
IABD, all these different places that we were taking our students, and they were meeting, okay, people that they only read about. They were able to meet them. Now, Wayne State, what we're trying to do now, we know we can't take you guys these places, so we're bringing them to you. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what we can do. Bring them to you. So when we're out of this, you're gonna say, "Yeah, well, I had that experience already, so I'm gonna go and have another experience with this person because I met them online. I was able to experience this. I
Just
know
like
how they
you.
work."
You were set on this path by a guest artist that came into your class. It changed your life. And
That's
that's
it.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Right, because we realize that we're not the all and the everything, and
Mhm.
there are people out here that do what we do, but do it a bit different. Okay, and I may have a student that maybe they don't get me, but maybe they get this person that I bring in.
Mhm.
Okay, we have to understand that. We have to understand that. But I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. Okay, thank you,
This was a
thank
great, great
you.
talk. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining me here on the Audacity to Emote. This has been fantastic.
Yes, I have enjoyed this. Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
You're very welcome. Hopefully it wasn't stressful at all,
No,
or at
nothing
least a
like I'm
low
stressed.
level of stress.
I am good. I enjoyed it. Talk to me. If I can just be myself, I'm great.
You can always be yourself with me.
Thank you. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And that's it.